Good morning, everyone. This is Todd Brow with Senior Insurance Marketing, and we are excited to have UNL United National Life with us today. Talk about their great products and their cancer, hospital indemnity, and much more other products as well too. So, without further ado, I'm going to swing it over to Hunter and Anna, and take it away.
The first thing I'm going to go over is a PowerPoint that's kind of going to get into a few different things before we get into the products. Briefly, I'm going to go over really how to create that need, because if you go into a house, we all know the goal when we go into a house is to put more than one product in that house, because obviously it's going to do multiple things. It's going to increase your persistency, it's going to help your clients, and you're going to make more money. So one of the things I really want to talk about is how we can create that need so we can put more products into a house. Because if you go into a house and you talk about some of the products we're going to talk about today, really on the home healthcare side, and you pitch it to your clients before you create that need, it doesn't matter how well you know the product. It doesn't matter how good you are at selling. If you don't teach them that they need this product, they're never going to buy it. So I'll go in briefly, talk about two things that will help you create that need so that your clients will know that they need this and know that Medicare is really not going to cover them. So right off the bat, I like to ask this question, particularly when I'm in person, get feedback, but I know we can't do that these days. So we're going to discuss that if somebody needs home health care and they do not have coverage, their out-of-pocket expense is going to be somewhere between $45,000 and $50,000 a year. So if you did not know that before, right now, you know it now. Remember that number. Because if you go into a house and you sell them on a Med Sup or a Medicare Advantage plan, and you don't bring up the fact that it's going to cost them $45,000 a year if they need home health care covered, if they need home health care, then it's your fault. If 6 months later, they end up in a facility, blow through all their money, have nothing to pass on to their kids, it's your fault because you're the expert, right? The state of Nebraska, wherever you live, has deemed you an expert. You can do things other people cannot do. You can go into homes and sell insurance. So if you don't bring up this fact that if they don't get this coverage, it's going to cost them between $45,000 and $50,000 per year, it's your fault. So we have to make sure that we educate our clients that they need this, right? And so there's a couple of different ways that I like to ask two questions, right? So you go through your Med Sup or your Medicare Advantage sale. Instead of going on to the next house, I want you to ask two questions. I want you to ask, one, are you under the impression that Medicare is going to cover your home health care needs? Okay, you ask that. It doesn't matter what they say. They either say, yes, I think Medicare is going to cover me, which if they've been on a Plan F the entire time they've been on Medicare, of course they're going to think Medicare is going to cover them because Medicare has covered everything else, right? If they say, no, I know Medicare is not going to cover me because my aunt needed this coverage. She blew through all of her cash. She ended up broke on Medicaid with nothing to pass on to her kids. If she says that, then you're automatically going to be able to sell her this product. But ask that first question. Are you under the impression that Medicare is going to cover your needs? Number two, if you need this care, would you rather receive it in your home or in a facility? Right? 99.999% of the time, they're going to answer in their home, especially right now. Think about what's happening in our country right now, in the world right now, but let's think about our country. For the most part, we're calling on the senior market, 65 and older. COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, is affecting our clientele harder than any other population out there. Our clients buy emotionally. They do not buy logically. They buy emotionally for the most part. There's no more emotional time right now with the people that we're calling on every single day, right? They're getting hit the hardest with this virus. Look what's happening all across the country. No matter where you live, every single day on the news, there's a new facility, nursing home facility, skilled nursing care facility, long-term care facility that is had this virus spread throughout, and it's all over the news. I know in Seattle, there was one facility that had 30-something people die from the coronavirus, right? They're hearing this, they know this. So just bring up these two facts, right? Or just bring up this fact, or ask this question: do you want to receive this care in your home or in a facility, right? They're going to answer in their home. So before you get into the product, just ask those two questions. Now, once you've created that need, they may have some pushback, right? They may say, well, Medicare is going to cover me. Well, really, Medicare is not really going to cover them, right? To decide if you're eligible for home health care, Medicare defines part-time or intermittent as skilled nursing care that's needed or given on fewer than 7 days each week or less than 8 hours each day over 21 days or less. And this doesn't even go into the fact that it is extremely difficult to qualify. One of the things that Medicare requires is you have to be in the hospital for 3 days. There's a problem with that because over the last 7 or 8 years, Medicare has been dinging hospitals up to 1.5% of their total Medicare reimbursements for readmissions. So if you go to the hospital and you're discharged and you get readmitted within 31 days for the same disease, not only does the hospital not get paid for that treatment, but they can get charged up to 1.5% of their total Medicare reimbursements. So what do hospitals do, right? If they don't want readmissions, what do? They just never admit you. They keep you in observation status. So you may be in the hospital for 4 or 5 days, what you thought you were in the hospital, but you weren't because you were never really admitted into the hospital. Well, that's a problem when it comes to skilled nursing and home health care, all this stuff, because if you haven't been admitted into the hospital for 3 days, you cannot get coverage. So it's extremely difficult. Well, they say, well, you know what? It's probably not going to happen to me. Well, it might not happen to you, but there's a 70% chance that it's going to. Right? 70% of the people turning 65 will need this coverage. 70%. So if you're talking to a married couple, there is a 91% chance that one of them is going to need it. Right? Let that sink in. 91% chance. There's a 49% chance that they're both going to need it. So yeah, it might not happen to you, but it probably is. And lastly, well, it still might not happen to me. If it does, I'll just self-fund. Well, there you go. You have $45,000 to $50,000 sitting in your bank account that you want to be able to use every single year to pay for this care. Right? That's the bad news. Medicare is probably not going to cover you. It's going to happen to you. And if it does, it's extremely expensive. That's the bad news. Good news is we got some care for you, the UNL Short-Term Home Health Care Shield. So everything I go over from here on out is straight off the brochure. So it's just taking little snapshots off the brochure so you can access this stuff when you're talking with your clients about this care. All three of those things I just went over, that how to qualify, the percentage is that it's going to happen to you, and that the costs are all in the brochure. So you will know that, so you have that when you're talking to your client. The main thing I want to point out on this first slide is where you see that that medical care box, whatever that thing is called. To collect short-term home health care benefits, a prior hospitalization stay is not required. That's huge. Most short-term care policies out there follow what Medicare say, in that you need a 3-day hospitalization stay to trigger benefits. You do not on ours. In order to trigger benefits on our plan, as long as you cannot perform 2 out of your 6 activities of daily living, or you're cognitively impaired, you can trigger benefits. All right? Huge, huge, huge. So I'm going to get into this plan. It has 4 separate parts. Each part has its own bucket of benefits. All right? So part 1 is like the meat of the plan. The plan itself is 360 days. Now let me be clear on that. You only use one of those 360 days when somebody comes to your house to perform a service. All right? So if somebody comes to your house every other day, this plan is going to last 2 years. If they come every 3rd day, it's going to last 3 years. So let's take a look at what the plan actually is. I always go over plan B because that's the one that most agents write, you know, because it's in the middle. And if we have choices, we usually always go to the middle one. But if you use this plan, you maximize your daily benefits. So the daily benefit amount for plan B is $300 per day. So if you maximize that and use $300 per day, every time somebody comes to your house, which is 360 days, you're going to get over $100,000 in benefits. All right. What are those benefits? Skilled nursing care, $150. General nursing care, $120. Physical therapy, $150. Speech pathology, $150. Occupational therapy, $150. Chemotherapy specialist, $120. Interostable therapy, $100. Respirational therapy, $100. Medical social services, $200. If you're like me, and most of the time when I go over this presentation, people stop listening to me about the time I get down to interostable therapy, right? And then they're thinking, what is interostable therapy? And then you don't know. And then you have to look it up. And then the client asks you more questions. The point is, when you're presenting this to the client, don't just go line item by line item by line item, all right? Pick the ones that you think, you know your client better than we do, or you know that prospective client better than I do. Pick the ones that are going to be most applicable to them, right? Ms. Smith, we got a great plan here. It lasts 360 days. You can get over $100,000 in benefits. I'm going to work with you to make sure that we can get this plan to last of you 2 or 3 years. And we're gonna maximize those benefits so we can get you over $100,000 in coverage. It's going to cover your skilled nursing care. It's going to cover your physical therapy. It's going to cover your speech pathology and occupational therapy. And here's the good news. If you have a nurse that comes to your house and doesn't fall under one of these exact designations, we're still going to cover you for $120 on this general nursing care, and then move on to the next part. Because if you go line item by line item by line item, they're going to stop listening. They're going to stop listening to you. They're going to ask you what interostable therapy is. You're not going to know. You're going to look it up. They're going to be confused. I don't know what confused people do every day. I know they don't buy insurance, right? So just keep it simple. Don't talk yourself out of putting this product in somebody's house. All right. Part 2, short-term home health care aid benefit. All right. This is separate from part 1. This is your certified home health care aid, right? So you can have a certified home health care aid come to your house. You get 60 days. Looking at plan B, $80 per day. So it's almost $5,000 per day, or $5,000 of coverage for this plan, right? Same thing, as long as you can't perform 2 out of your 6 ADLs or you're cognitively impaired, you can have this benefit. All right, let's skip over part 3 real quick and go to part 4, restoration of benefits. If your client, or if the policyholder has a clean bill of health for 180 consecutive days, they can restore this product in full, restore the benefits in full, right? Now, let me be clear, that is not use all 360 days, self-fund for 6 months, and then go back on claim, right? You actually have to have a clean bill of health. A licensed healthcare practitioner has to certify that you have been healthy. If they are healthy for 6 months, the benefits will restore in full, all right? That comes with every plan. This is built into the base plan, along with part 3. Now, this is the kicker here. This is the one that you can really push this plan over the top. If they're hesitant on the home health care coverage that they're getting, which is a great plan, you will also be able to push them over that hill with this prescription drug benefit. This comes with every single plan. You receive this benefit from day 1. You do not have to be on claim. Right? What is it? You are going to get $10 per generic fill and $25 per brand name fill, up to $300 for plan A, $600 for plan B and plan C. What does that mean? If your client is taking 2 brand name drugs and they get them filled every single month, that's $50 every month times 12 months. That's $600 per year, right? that your client will get back in a check after they file that claim. They will receive that check in their pocket. And here's the crazy part. If you're 65, if your client's 65 and they choose Plan B, the annual premium for this plan is $570 per year, right? And they're going to get $600 back if they use this prescription drug benefit. So if they use it, if they're taking the drugs, if they're filing the claim, the policy will pay for itself plus 30 bucks. I know some of you are thinking right now, that sounds too good to be true. How is that possible? I'll be honest with you, only about half the people actually use this. Not because they don't need it, they just don't. That's what the history tells us. The plan performs extremely well. UNL has never had to have a unplanned rate increase in the history of our company. We've been around since 1961, right? Financially strong company. So how does that work? I recommend you work with your client to file this annually. They can file it monthly. They can file it however often they want. I recommend annually. Why? Well, it gives you another opportunity to get back in front of that client, right? At policy renewal, I will come remind you of this prescription drug benefit that you can get. All they have to do is go up to their pharmacy, ask the pharmacist or the pharmacy technician to print out the list of drugs that they've taken over the last 12 months, write their policy number on that printout, and send it to our claims department. There's no claims form. It's as simple as that. Plus, if you do it annually, they get a $600 check back. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather receive a $600 check than, smaller checks throughout the year. All right. Another thing, the Mayo Clinic does provide an online tool where you can ask questions. It's kind of like WebMD, but it's run by the Mayo Clinic. And if anybody is hesitant that this plan sounds too good to be true, just kind of point to the Mayo Clinic logo. Every single one of our clients know who the Mayo Clinic is, and they wouldn't provide services on this plan if they didn't trust us and believe in what we're selling. So one of the riders I like to point out is this easy issue accident, sickness, hospitalization rider. Why? What is one of the reasons? What's the biggest liability when it comes to a Medicare Advantage plan? It's the hospital stay, right? That copay if they have to go to the hospital. Unfortunately, less than 10% of Medicare Advantage policyholders actually have hospital indemnity coverage, which is crazy. And now there's several reasons for that. One of the major ones is they can't qualify the underwriting. They can't qualify for it because the underwriting is too strict. You'll see on this plan, the underwriting is 2 or 3 questions. That's it. Very easy to qualify for this plan. This rider is essentially like a hospital indemnity rider. If you choose base plan A, you can get $100 per day on the rider for 3 or 6 days. If you choose base plan B, you can get $100 or $200 a day for 3 or 6 days. And if you choose base plan C, you can get $100, $200, or $300 a day for 3 or 6 days. So we have a lot of agents who will sell this plan C for people who cannot qualify for a hospital indemnity plan. They'll sell them on the plan C so they can get up to $300 per day with this rider. And if you do the math out and you take out the $600 they're going to get back if they file that prescription drug benefit, it comes out to about $28 per day for a 65-year-old to get the base plan C with the rider for $300 a day for 6 days, right? So for less than $30, you can get your home health care and your hospital indemnity taken care of. It's a great opportunity for those people who could not qualify for standalone hospital indemnity plans. I recommend you go back to every single one of your Medicare Advantage clients and Med Sup clients and talk about this plan. It's a great opportunity to put more policies in the house while making sure we protect our clients. A couple other riders that you can look at. I'm not going to go into detail here, but I will say if your client doesn't have an ambulance rider on on a policy, it doesn't have to be this one, on any policy, you're doing them a disservice. It's very, very inexpensive. Make sure you get, make sure your clients have ambulance protection. All right, rates, I said it earlier, these are attained age rates. What that means is you pay whatever age you are at renewal. So if you're 65 and you get this plan, and you say you get option B, it's $47.41 per month, it will be that amount per month until they turn 71. Until at policy renewal, they are 71. Once they once that happens, it will go up. Okay, it is not issue age; it is attained age. You can see this rider here. I already did the math for you, but a 65-year-old, that 3-day or 6-day $300 benefit is $24.37. I did the math. After you take out the $600 that they're going to get back, it's less than $29 per month. All right, underwriting. This is the only underwriting questions for this plan, regardless if they get the rider or not. Is the applicant currently in a nursing home, assisted living facility, receiving home health care or similar type benefits? Is the applicant unable to perform routine activities of daily living or cognitively impaired? If they choose option or plan A or plan B, that's the only questions that are asked. If they go with option C, there's one additional question. In the next 60 days, is the applicant expected to be admitted to a hospital, nursing home, assisted living facility, or require home health care services or have surgery? Those are the only questions. So you can, I know all you're thinking about clients that you try to get hospital indemnity coverage on that they couldn't qualify for. And you know that if this was the only underwriting, that they could qualify for this. So great opportunity to go back to those clients and get them home health care with that hospitalization coverage. All right, that's it for the home health care. I'm going to go over our dental and vision really quick, hit some highlights on it. I know when I was an agent, I didn't sell much dental and vision just because I didn't like the policies that were out there. And I knew if I put multiple policies in homes, the first one they were going to use would be the dental. And if they filed a claim and they were shocked at the amount of money they actually got back, they would cancel that and they would cancel every other policy I sold them. So I never sold it. How is ours different? Well, we're going to pay 80% of actual charges. Okay. You can get a benefit for a benefit amount of $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000. 83% of our applicants or of our policyholders have the $2,000 benefit plan. The reason is the difference between a $1,000 and a $2,000 benefit plan is about $6 a month. So you can get double the benefits for $6 a month. We're going to pay 80% of actual charges. How is that different? Most dental plans are on a tiered approach. So you might think it's 80%, but it's actually 50% year 1, 60% year 2, 70% year 3, then 80% year 4. Not ours. We're paying 80% right away. Right? And we pay on actual charges. So if you spend $1,000 on a root canal, we're going to reimburse you 80% of $1,000 after you hit your deductible. Most dental plans pay on what is called usual, customary, and reasonable charges. What does that mean? It means that for whatever area you're in, they determine that a service should cost X amount of dollars. And it's almost always less than what you actually spent. So on somebody else's plan, you may go to the dentist, you get $1,000 you pay $1,000 for a root canal, and you're really confused when you get a check back for like $450, right? You call up your agent. I remember you said you were this plan would pay 80% of what I spent. Well, in reality, yeah, eventually it would pay 80% on usual, customary, and reasonable. And the usual, customary, and reasonable were actually for that area was $800, not 1,000. Oh, and you only got 50% back or 60% back because you're in year 2, right? So instead of getting $800 check, they received a $450 check. They were pissed off. They canceled that. They canceled everything else, right? Not on ours. We're going to pay 80% of what you actually spent. So if you spend $1,000 at the dentist for a root canal, we'll pay you $800, right? If you spent $2,000, we'll pay you $1,600. We're going to pay 80% of what you actually spent. Don't pay attention to that wellness benefit. I'll explain that in a second. But another benefit of ours, we have no networks. So if you get this plan in Nebraska and you travel to Missouri for vacation, you have to go to the dentist, that's okay because we have no networks. There are some waiting periods, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. The 3 months is your x-rays, your 2 dental cleanings, and your eye exam. The dental cleanings and eye exam is not subject to the 80%. You're going to get $75, up to $75 for each cleaning and up to $50 for each eye exam. After 6 months, you have your $150 in prescription eyewear or contacts and your basic dental care. You get that $150 every year. A lot of plans out there will only pay that every other year. You get that every single year. And then your 12-month waiting period is for your major dental care. We do not cover cosmetic. Implants are considered cosmetic. So that wellness benefit, all that is this 2 $75 cleanings, that's $150. The eye exam, that's $50. And the prescription eyewear, $150. That adds up to $350. But it is included in that benefit amount that you choose. It's not on top of it. So I really don't like how that is worded, but we are eliminating that from future brochures just because it confused some people. The rates are issue age. So if you get this plan at 18 years old, you're going to lock into that rate as long as you have the policy. All right. That's my cell phone number. You can write it down. You can call me. Rush Holson is still your main contact. But if you can't get in touch with him or our home office, please give me a call. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. The phone verification number is below. So when do you need to use the phone verification? You have to use the phone verification if you cannot get a wet signature, right? So if you do a paper app and the client can actually sign the paper app, you don't have to do the phone verification. If you do the e-app on your iPhone or your Android, they can finger sign. If you're using the e-app, you don't have to do the phone verification. However, if you're selling this over the phone or you're using our agent portal, you do have to do a phone verification. It's extremely important, especially right now during the times that we live in. I know a lot of people are selling this stuff over the phone. Use the phone verification. It's extremely simple. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes. It's 9 questions. It's automated. I recommend doing it right away with the client. You can 3-way with the client. If you're going to do that, put yourself on mute because it might pick up your back. If it picks up background noise or multiple people talking, then it may not work. So make sure you go over the questions with the client before they call so they know how to answer, they know what they're going to answer. And we do have a PDF that has those questions written out that you can go over with the client before making that phone call. All right, quickly going to go over our hospital indemnity. Our hospital indemnity is as basic can be. We took out all the fluff. We said, how many days do you want for the calendar year? There is no resetting of our days after 60 days of no confinement. It is a strictly, how many days do you want for the calendar year? So I always recommend going for the full 10-day hospital benefit. That way, if your copay is 5 days, right, that covers you for at least 2 hospitalization stays or covers you for 2 hospitalization stays. Another thing to point out on this is not for underage. This is, our policy is only available for 64 to 85. So if you have somebody who's on Medicare Advantage that's on disability that could get on this before they turn 65, this is not the plan for them. You cannot write it. It's very inexpensive. A 65-year-old that is going to get 10-day benefit for $300 per day, it's going to be less than, I think it's going to be like less than $17 per month for that coverage. So very, very inexpensive plan that is just going to make sure we take care of our our clients so they have coverage for that copay. Now, the thing to realize on this is it is fully underwritten. So if they can't do this one, always go back to our home health care with that rider. All right, that's pretty simple on the hospital indemnity plan. Last one of the Shield series, and I will open up this for questions. I will open this up for questions at the end. So, Cancer Shield 2.0. All right, we just launched this a couple of weeks ago. Bad timing on our part. We literally launched it like right as this thing was taken, right as COVID-19 was spreading, and we had to shut all of our travel down, so we couldn't get around to train on it. But I'm going to hit the highlights here. It basically took our old cancer plan, which many of you know, and it simplified it, right? When we're coming out with a plan, we want to make sure, first and foremost, that it is easy to explain for the agent, that the client can understand this stuff in less than 10 to 15 minutes. If you're spending more than 10 to 15 minutes presenting our plans, then you're probably talking too much and you might talk yourself out of it. So keep it simple. That's what we tried to accomplish on this one, and I believe it is a very nice plan. So it's a first diagnosis cancer insurance scheduled benefit policy with a lump sum rider. I recommend you sell it together. Right? Lump sums are fantastic. However, if you're only selling the lump sum, right? If you're selling somebody else's policy and it only has a lump sum, I think you're doing your clients a disservice, because you want to make sure you protect them and they know exactly how much money they're going to be getting while they're fighting this horrible disease. You add on that lump sum, now they got this pot of money out here on the side that is going to help protect them maybe for loss of income or some really unexpected expenses that might arise from this. But with the scheduled benefit, you actually get all this stuff as they're being treated throughout this treatment. A couple of the highlights, and this is right off of our brochure. The out-of-pocket expenses associated with cancer for cancer treatments for somebody who's on Medicare averages out to over $8,000 annually. Right? It can get to tens of thousands of dollars. So we want to make sure we protect our clients.
Hunter, this is Todd. Do you have slides? Because we cannot see the slides.
Oh, you can't see it. Interesting. How about now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you for pointing that out. All right. I'll start. This is the front of the brochure that you can see here, Cancer 2.0. And all the facts I was just talking about are laid out right here. Right? Many seniors are under the impression that Medicare covers all cancer treatments. Not the case, right? Up to $8,000 annually, could be tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket. Here's some quick facts about cancer. 1 in 3 women will get cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 2 men will get cancer. 3 in 4 American families will get cancer in their lifetime, right? So it's probably going to happen. Additionally, you get many, at least when I was an agent, when I would first bring up cancer, my clients would say, well, you know, cancer doesn't run in my family, so I don't need any coverage. Well, only 10% of cancers are hereditary. Most people do not know that. 10% of cancers are hereditary. So it doesn't matter if it runs in your family or not. Only 10% of those are hereditary. All right, a couple of the highlights. We do have experimental treatment benefit on this plan. All right, 3 different options, Plan A, Plan B, or Plan C. So we will pay for qualifying experimental treatments that have been approved or endorsed by the US FDA or National Institute of Health. We have a wellness benefit. So we will pay you up to $50, $100, or $150 for your annual screening for cancer. And then you got the schedule here. So we'll pay you $200 a day, $500 a day, or $700 per day, depending on what plan you get, when you are confined to a hospital as a direct result of cancer. We will pay the transportation and lodging for not only the patient, right, if they're more than 50 miles away, but also the family member. Here's the cool thing about the family member benefit. It's not from where the insured lives. It's from where the family member lives. So if the insured lives in Nebraska and they have treatment, they need a treatment, let's say it's right next to their house, but the family member lives in California, we will pay for that family member to be transported and lodging because they live more than 50 miles. A lot of these plans, it's up to where the insured lives, even for the family member, not ours. Ours is from where the family member lives. On Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, or sorry, on Plan A, you can get a lump sum rider up to $20,000. On Plan B or C, it's $30,000. And then here's some other cancer-specific treatments where we will pay dollars to the insured. You can go over those and see those. But your chemotherapy, radiation, and transfusion, your immunotherapy or topical oral chemotherapy, and then your surgery, your skin cancer, and your transplant. A highlight of our lump sum, you can either do cancer only or you can do cancer, heart attack, and stroke. Your benefits will restore in full after a 5-year period of readmission. So if you get diagnosed with cancer, you have a $30,000 lump sum, you'll get that $30,000, and then it goes into remission for 5 years. That lump sum resets. So you'll have the opportunity, if heaven forbid you get diagnosed with cancer again, you can get another check for $30,000. There is a return of premium on this plan, and it will pay back premiums paid minus benefits paid out upon the death of the insured. Will be paid to the beneficiary. There is no age limit on this one. On our home health care benefit, if they die, if they live to 86, that return of premium cancels and they get nothing back. On this one, it doesn't matter what age they are. At the event of death, the beneficiary will get that return of premium minus benefits that have been paid out. Here's a cool little what could happen, and it's in our brochures, just straight off our brochure. I will go over this with the client every single time. All right, let's say you have Plan C, and you got the $30,000 lump sum. So you get diagnosed with cancer. Immediately you get $30,000. You had to spend 10 days in the hospital throughout that year because of the cancer. That's $7,000. You had to do a round trip travel to the treatment facility with your family member, $15,000, $600. You had to do chemotherapy, another $18,000, $600. Oh, and you had to have surgery, up to $15,000. That adds up to $86,200 that could be paid directly back to you. This is an indemnity plan, so everything gets paid directly back to that policyholder. All right, I know I sped through that stuff. I was trying to keep this thing as quick as I can. Before Anna gets into the e-app and how to quote and all that, does anybody have any questions about anything I just went over?
If anyone has any questions, if you can just put it in the chat field, that'd be great, because everyone is muted. But if you have any questions, put it in the chat field.
And if you can't think of any of them right now, we can always be reached at our agent support email or our agent support phone number, which we'd be happy to post for you too.
Yep. And also feel free to give us a call here at Senior Insurance Marketing, 877-800-3080. We'll be happy to get you contracted with UNL. And also, if you have questions or need a quote, we'll be happy to help you out as well. I don't see any chats, anyone in the chat with any questions, Anna or Hunter.
All right, Anna, do you want to take over, share your screen, and go over how to quote on the e-app, how to submit apps, and all that stuff?
I sure will. All right, I will get that set up. One moment. All right. All right, can you folks see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. So as Hunter mentioned, we're kind of working in strange times right now. And we're all kind of trying to find ways to do things remotely and make everybody feel comfortable, but most importantly, keep everyone safe. So what we do have there for you all the time is your UNL agent portal. And you can write business remotely. It actually gets issued faster than paper applications, which means that you get paid faster and your client's coverage kicks in sooner, which, you know, everybody wins. What we're recommending for folks to do right now is to go through the website. Hunter kind of touched on this earlier. What you'll do when you go through the website is trigger a verification call, which means that you can do things completely remotely. Typically, we'd say, you know, download the app to your phone or to your tablet, and your client can sign with their finger on a touch screen. But since we aren't really going into clients' homes as often as we used to, this is going to be your best alternative, and it's really very straightforward and clean. So what you're going to do is go to unlinsurance.com, as you can see up there. You're going to go to your agents tab and just log in like normal. For those of you who haven't been in before, who haven't seen the system before, we can definitely help you get set up with it. And it's a really wonderful tool. You have access to all sorts of things, ranging from a complete catalog of all of our marketing materials 24 hours a day, to, of course, your commissions and, you know, writing business or just running quotes. So I'm going to log in. And this is going to be your home screen. Again, you can see we have a whole bunch of tools down here. Review and resume. We're going to go through quote and submit. And I'll just run through the whole process for you. Make sure that you double check their birthday. I know if oftentimes you don't select it correctly and it doesn't take, it will just go back to whatever that date was and the year that would make them 65 years old. So you have the option to add a second applicant here. You also have the option to customize the effective date. So if Mrs. Smith doesn't want her policy to start right away, you have up to 90 days from whenever you're submitting the application. And you're going to select your state. I'm just going to leave it on today's date. All right. So we have the products available in Nebraska for this person. You have the option to make it monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual. Monthly will always have to be on a direct bill, an auto draft rather. And that's something that will get set up with you. You'll see later on in the application process. You just do right through here. If you have a client who's especially uncomfortable with sharing banking information, as the case may be, I know we run into that not irregularly, your options are quarterly or beyond. And what you do when you get to the banking information is just enter zeros. And I'll show you how to do that at that point as well. So we'll just run a home health care to take a look and see. We'll do a plan B. There we go. As you can see, for a 63-year-old, it's only $40.51. We're going to add an ambulance rider, less than $4. All right. If you're just running a quote, say your client really wanted to talk to you about doing a dental vision product, but they said, oh, well, let's see what a home health care would run me as well. And they decide that they don't want it after all, make sure that you hit deselect product at the end. And you can always just run things through just to try. It definitely doesn't hurt. We're going to click apply now. You have the option to have it mailed to you, and that will go automatically to whatever your address is on file. Again, your personal account is linked directly to you. You can have it done digitally or by paper. Okay. The thing I really like about the e-application is that it really takes you through step by step. There's no way to miss. It kind of, you know, guides you through things that you might miss on a paper application when you're in a hurry, especially when you're sitting in front of a client and they're really insisting that you give them your undivided attention and answer 100 questions a minute. This makes sure that you don't miss anything, and anything that helps is welcome, at least for me. These are the underwriting questions again. It will only show you the things that are applicable for the product and the benefit level that you've selected. It won't show them anything or show you anything that you do not need to answer. So you'll notice we didn't sign up for a plan C, so we're not going to get that third underwriting question here. Oh, answer no. Oh. All right, so this would be where you'd first start entering signatures. What you're going to do, again, because it's on the website and not through the mobile app, you're just going to type in their name and make sure that it matches exactly what you wrote on that first page. John Smith, we're going to say Glenview, Illinois, our headquarters. Okay, on that day's date. Right. You do have the option to split remotely nowadays with another agent. So if there's somebody that you work with regularly, or perhaps somebody that you're training or assisting, you can add them in as well. And you have the option to change the percentage. We heard from our agents in the field that that was something that they wanted, and we were able to do that, and it's been popular. All right, so again, this is where you'd enter the banking information. Again, if your client really is uncomfortable with giving out banking info, remember to select quarterly or beyond, and you can enter in all zeros, false information, of course, and that will kind of trigger to underwriting, hey, a check or a money order will be coming in the mail. If they are okay with moving forward with auto draft, then you would just go ahead and enter the info as prompted, and you would go from there. Remember to specify if it's checking or savings. I know a lot of times I get folks on the phone who aren't quite sure what account type it is. So we always recommend double checking that before you move on. And then you do get to select the draft date. We try to be as flexible as possible with your clients, and of course with you. And so what we do is that you can have it up to 15 days from the requested effective date. So we selected an effective date in the policy of today's date, May 5th, 2020. So I can go up to 15 days away, which is going to be up to the 20th. So I'll just pick a day. All right, we're going to save and continue. All right, so see here, it'll give me that nice reminder. It'll give me the direct telephone number where you can go ahead and have them dial in for that verification call. As Hunter mentioned, it really is wise to do a three-way call with them. Make sure you mute yourself. The computer is smart, but it's not totally foolproof. So if it starts to pick up your voice, there might be a little bit of trouble. But the good news is, of course, if they complete it successfully, a live person does listen to it every single time. So if anything's a little funky, somebody will actually be listening to it and be able to kind of discern. We're going to go ahead and acknowledge that we can go through and save and continue. You have the option at this point to add a dental vision policy if you'd like. It automatically calculates it for them. I'm going to say no thank you at this time. And then it's going to automatically generate a policy number. And that's something that you can record for yourself. See right there. And that will also appear in your recent business folder. If we go back to our home page here and go into review and resume, it will come up right here. And you'll know that it was successfully submitted, one, because it will give you that policy number at the end, but two, it will no longer say resume. It will show you that number right away. The other place you can check for it, of course, is going to be within your review recent business section underneath UNL link. And does anybody have any questions about how to use your agent portal, about how to submit business?
If anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat section there, and Anna would be happy to answer for you.
Yeah, and we can always be reached on agent support as well. I know Peyton and I chat quite a bit through there. Sure. And so, yeah, we're always available to answer whatever you need. Yeah, it's a really great tool. We're trying really hard to work with folks during the COVID-19 pandemic, and this has really proven to be an excellent resource.
Thank you, Anna. One of the things I want to point out, this is Hunter again, is I talk with agents across the country every single day, and we have agents that are continuing to submit business every week. And I get on the phone with them and I ask them, what are you doing? Business is obviously people aren't submitting as much business. What are you doing differently? And the main thing I've got is I'm just being there for my clients. Right? I call them up and I say, is there anything I can do for you? What can I do to help? Right? I know everybody's scared. What can I do to help? And then reminding them that there are ways to protect them. Like I said earlier, people buy emotionally, they're scared, right? I would recommend, and this is what they tell me, I have called every single one of the Medicare Advantage or Medicare SOP clients that I've talked to, that I've presented to, that are actual clients or people that didn't join me over the last 5 years. And I'm having success. People need this stuff, right? People need it. People are scared. There's, it's a crazy time right now, but I really truly believe that in the end, this is going to be a opportunity for our industry. Good agents are going to become great. Average agents are going to become good. Poor agents probably won't be agents anymore. Just don't sit around and collect renewals. Put yourself ahead of the game for when this thing comes back and we're able to get into houses again, that you're a step above everybody else and that you have the opportunity to grow your book of business for your future.
Right, and just making sure all of our clients are prepared and ready. Nobody's really sure quite how it's going to play out, and making sure they have whatever they need so that, if it does hit their home, that they're covered. All right.
Well, I don't see any questions in the chat. Anna and Hunter, I really appreciate you taking the time today to show us the UNL products, great products. We have a strong relationship with UNL, and feel free to give us a call here at Senior Insurance Marketing. Our number is 877-800-3080. We'd be happy to get you contracted with UNL so you can start writing business, and especially through this simple e-app process. That's kind of the new normal, I call it these days, and I'm probably foresee this the new normal for quite some time as well too. So, and if you need some help with products or quotes, feel free to give us a call here at Senior Insurance Marketing. But again, thanks Hunter and Anna. I really appreciate you talking to us about UNL products today.
Anytime. Thanks for your attention. We're here if anybody needs help.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.